Take 100.
What up, everyone? It is Shereen Simon from blackprint.com, and today we are filming another episode of Voices and Vibes. And I am here with my friend Nyetta from the Play Activity. Wait, I thought it's the Activity Playhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, because it says the Play Activity Guide. Is that what you wanted to say?
That's my title. So I'm known as the activity guide, the play activity.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to say, this is original. Okay, let's do that one more time.
I was going to say, we didn't have to start over if you don't
We
want
don't have to start all over?
No.
Okay, well, sorry for laughing. I know Nyetta, for her brand is actually called the Activity Playhouse, but she's infamous for, out here in these playground streets with parents for the activity guide. Okay, welcome, Nyetta. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. It's early, but I'm good.
It is early. This is so early in the morning. We are trying to do this before the kids get up. And probably by the time this airs, school would have already started. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about the Activity Playhouse.
Okay, well, as you said, I'm Nyetta. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a wife. I have 3 kids. I'm a business owner. And the business is the Activity Playhouse, and I'm the host of the podcast, Let Kids Play. And I got into the business because I realized going to the playgrounds and different things with my kids that a lot of moms were unaware of how to properly I won't say properly because there's no right or wrong way of doing things. But they needed help at home and guidance with their kids. They didn't need the academic approach or the research-based information.
So sorry, I missed what it was that they needed help with. What is it that they needed help with?
The whole child, as far as guiding their child on how to do things and how to deal with things, because we focus on, my kid needs to read and write. Well, what do I do if they're having a tantrum, or how do I keep them engaged while I'm just trying to drink a hot cup of coffee? So those things are, how do I build their social emotional skills?
Okay, and what age are we talking about for our kids? Are we talking about, what age are we talking about?
Under 5. So I focus on kids under 5.
And my kids are, sorry, say it again?
Typically 2 to 5 years old.
Okay, 2 to 5. I was going to say I have grown kids, so it's been a while, a long while. Under 5, I think, when does preschool start? 4?
4 or 5.
Senior kids, 4 or 5? Okay.
Yes,
so this is essentially, it's crucial time because this is in the very beginning where parents are trying to almost prep their kids with how to engage with other kids and how to interact once they get into preschool. Is that correct?
Yep. That's exactly it.
Okay. And so how did you get started? Because did you have I understand identifying the challenges with parents, but were you doing this with your kids? How old are your kids?
Yes. So I have a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So it actually started with my 10-year-old, but I didn't know what it was called. So take you back. We had just moved to North Carolina and he was starting pre-K. So I was like, okay, we'll put you in pre-K. And I was just realizing some things. I'm like, okay, we'll pull you out of pre-K.
Oh no, you're not ready yet, honey. Come back.
It wasn't him. It was the environment, the learning environment, and things like that. And then on top of coming home hungry, he's 4. We don't, and it was a full day, so a full school day for pre-K, which I wasn't comfortable with as well. So we pulled him out after maybe a month and a half, and I was like, we'll do pre-K at home. So he's really focused on science. Back then he was, and he still is now. So we started doing things that he was interested
in. Wait, slow down a bit.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. What was it that kind of stood out that you were like, they're not prepared for him? Is it that you and your husband got him so prepared, and then when you got there, there's other children, and I'm trying to say this as nice as possible. Like, was it the kids? Was it like the activities that they were doing? Like you just mentioned, they didn't feed, like he was coming home hungry. So maybe the snack time weren't scheduled appropriately, especially him coming from home. You already had him on a different schedule than whatever they introduce.
Right. So my oldest was the only one that went to daycare before pre-K because I was in the Army at the time. So he was kind of on the schedule, but kind of not. But the daycares and things that he went to, they were always like having them play, making sure their personal needs were met as far as the restrooms and the snacks and stuff like that. Because at that age, they don't need like a strict schedule, but they need a routine, and sometimes people don't know the difference. So at this particular pre-K, it was with the school. So he's at school with elementary kids, K through 5, and they have a preschool there, but they're treating them like they're in kindergarten, which I understand the approach behind that, but they're like not.
Schedule with the older kids a little bit, right? Do they do that?
Yes. So they didn't necessarily have a snack time. They did have a nap time, but the nap time was like I don't know, like it was kind of forced. And with his schedule, he didn't really nap. We had quiet time at home, but he didn't nap. His quiet time was for him to just play independently and do whatever it is quietly, because you don't necessarily have to nap. Because at that time, most of them are out of nap anyway. They get out of nap about 3 years old.
Oh, so, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So for them to go to school and have nap time, it was trying to give the kids a break, but it was the way that they were doing it. So it's supposed to be a brain break, but you can't force the kids to go to sleep. And they get in trouble if they're not doing a certain thing, like laying flat on a cot. Close your eyes.
This is not just preschool, honey. This sounds like this happens everywhere. This happens in the adult life. And by the way, as an adult, I took a nap before this call, hence being late. I woke up. It wasn't enough sleep for me. I put on my Calm app to take a 30-minute nap.
I love naps. So I'm
me too.
It's just at that age, they're not doing naps, so why force it? So that was the thing. It was like a forced learning. They're like, if they were hungry, or the cafeteria food, because they went to the cafeteria. So, and nothing against like Michelle Obama, I love her, but when they passed the thing for it to for the schools to only have healthy meals, instead of the schools going with what she put out in the bill, they went the opposite way. Like we have to get a kids of fruit, we have to give them whole grain, and it kind of reduced what the schools were doing because they didn't want to spend the extra money to meet this requirement placed by the healthy eating clause that was put for all the schools. I don't know the correct name of it, but pretty much she created this thing when Obama was in office for the schools to have healthy meals.
Okay,
great idea, great concept. Except the bottom of the poll.
Yeah, you need to like give them the funding so that they can implement it, especially if they don't have it. Right? Like the idea is great, but if it increases what they spend, right? Because it costs more for the healthier items, then they're going to require that funding. Yeah, I got it.
And so the lunch started to look like crap. So that was one of the reasons he was hungry. And then just the forced learning versus at that age, they're supposed to be free to play and learn.
How old was your son again at this age?
4.
Yeah, it's very hard to force anything to a 4-year-old. Like, they're just gonna be like, nah, we ain't doing that. We doing this over here.
You want him to sit down?
And they're supposed to be that free. Yeah.
So that's where it came from. We started preschooling at home, and I didn't know it was play-based at the time, but we wake up. Hey,
what does play-based mean?
So
for all us that either don't have kids or we're out of that place or we just need a little help understanding.
So play-based is where it's child-led. That's why I'm the activity guide. I'm not the teacher. I guide the kids and help supervise to make sure they're safe, but they pick the activities. They choose what they want to learn.
See, good thing I asked the question. I was not thinking that. Okay. So the child is leading what they want to do. Mm-hmm. The parents going with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is very, I'm going to say it's very different from... It's not that different. I was going to say it's very different from what we're kind of taught culturally, but really you let the kid play Yeah, I feel like as parents, we say, "Oh, what do you want to do? Do you want to do puzzle? What puzzle? Which puzzle do you want to play with?" Or something like that. You want to color? Okay, what do you want to color? At least maybe that's what I was doing it with my kids. But okay, so we're doing, and this is different from a curriculum.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can use, like for homeschooling, I use a curriculum, but it's just as a resource to make sure that I'm still sticking with the learning goals, because a lot of people feel like play isn't learning, and that their kids aren't gonna develop with their peers because they're doing play-based learning. So it's purposeful play and purposeful learning. So you have your learning goals to go align with what your kid needs, to learn. So for example, if my kids come in the morning and say, or let me go back. So my oldest in pre-K, so he likes science. So we would do science experiments, and that was also STEAM at the time, and I didn't understand that either.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out here trying to make better for my kid. I haven't researched anything at that point.
I don't even think they were calling it that back then. Now, I did a lot of science play with my kids as well, with my daughter as well, because I was interested in it.
Yes.
So we were play basing with the big kid, but no, but I don't even.
Good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she got lucky that I like the thing she liked, but no, but yeah, I don't even think they were calling it back then. But yeah, no, that's so. Hold on, I heard you say homeschool. So have you been homeschooling both your kids up to now, or does your son now go to like school with?
So it's been a back and forth. So we did homeschooling for pre-K, and then he decided he wanted to go to school because he's my social butterfly. So I found a charter school that I liked for him, so he went to the charter school. And now,
what grade was that at?
Kindergarten. He went.
He went at kindergarten. Oh wow,
yes.
He made those big decisions. That I want to go play with the kid. Okay, fine, good.
A lot of big decisions.
Yes. Big personality. Oh, you want to go? And don't come home telling me you're hungry, okay?
I know. So the charter school was better because the charter school, I packed his lunch. I was able to be in the classroom more. They had a whole parent book. I don't have one in here because I use it now that we're homeschooling again. But they held its core knowledge, the curriculum they use, but they had a whole parent book to where you can see what the kids are learning. The school would let us take up to a week or two of excused absences for us to travel, because they understood that the kids learn from living in the world, which unheard of, to where you can get it
so much better than being in the class.
Yeah, so
it's like working remotely. But go ahead, sorry.
Right, no, you're good. So now that we're he's in 5th grade and my youngest is in 1st grade. Now we're back homeschooling because we moved from Georgia to North Carolina, and the schools weren't just diverse enough for us, and then the curriculum. So we decided to homeschool again.
Okay, and are they comfortable with that at this age, like your oldest?
So again, the decision kind of came from him. So I was kind of like, I don't know about the school, but we'll try it because I know they want to go to school.
Yeah.
So we went to open house. We met the teachers and stuff. And when we came out, his face was just like really, really sad. So I was like, what's wrong? And he was like, I don't know about this school. I don't know how to make friends. I'm just going to be honest. We were only Black family in the whole open house gym. So he was very uncomfortable, and it showed in his demeanor. Like, we went to the playground. He didn't want to play or anything. So he kind of helped make the decision to homeschool again, too.
I think it's a culture shock, right? I grew up in Alberta, in Canada. And when I went to school, even at a young age, there were only like 3 Black families. So I know what it is to go to school and you don't see a representation of yourself. And it was racial. It was racist, right? Like I had friends and that was all cool, but it's not to say that I didn't have racist experiences. So it wasn't like full on racism all the time, but I can very not vividly. Yeah, I could very vividly remember one particular student that would constantly call me all kinds of racist names, right? Even if he was joking around. So, but even subconsciously, like you go there and there's something missing.
Yep.
There's something missing. And even if at a child's age, you don't know what it is, you just don't see yourself. But you don't know, maybe that's not what it is. But for him, if he went to school and he had other friends, especially you were in Georgia at the time, or right? So it probably looked a lot different, right?
It did, and he's been to like a school where it was like maybe like all white kids and stuff. Because he was the one that was like moved around with me being in the army. So we were in Utah, so he was used to the environment. It just felt different. You can tell an environment for where it's probably like a all white school, but it's not racist versus an all white school, and they're making me feel uncomfortable. Like people aren't speaking to me; they're walking around me as if I'm invisible. So
is that what it was like?
Yes, there's a difference. So it's not that it was just not diverse, which I prefer the school to be diverse, whatever culture I love for a minority to be at the school. But this is not our first situation as far as being the only minority, but this was the first situation to where he was invisible. Like if he smiled at someone, they didn't smile back. They didn't even look in his direction. And I noticed it too, like you just felt it. So
you can feel it. Yeah. And sorry, so at this time you were in the army. Were you in the army at this time?
No.
Oh, but was your husband in the army?
He was before, but he got out before we had kids. So I was the only one we had our first child.
Okay. So you just decided for like the family, for whatever reasons, you guys needed to make a move. I thought because you had said your son had experience while you were in the army before, right?
So he was 2 when we were in Utah, and like I said, he was at
he was
out in the army. Yeah, so he still he was very vocal about his decisions then. So he had experiences, but it wasn't, like we could feel the difference. Like if he was uncomfortable, he wasn't going to school, and he would tell me that.
Yeah. No, that's pretty impressive.
Thinking about a cleanse? Let's get into some benefits of dandelion root tea. It's great for supporting liver health, detoxifying and improving its function. It helps reduce inflammation, which we all know is the root cause of many illnesses within the body. This tea has antioxidants and helps lower high cholesterol levels. Note it's a natural diuretic, which means it will flush out excessive fluids from the body. Consult with your herbal and medical team to ensure dandelion root tea is a great fit for your body type. Do something healthy for yourself today and live well. Shop now on blackprint.com.
Impressive for him to be that vocal. So that also tells like you're doing such a great job that your child at such a young age can speak up for himself, can use his voice, and even just express that, hey mom, I don't want to do this because I'm not comfortable with this. Like that takes a lot.
And that's where play-based comes in, because they're not focused on like you have these pre-K worksheets or flashcards that you want your kids to do. We just play and we talk and we communicate. So the number one skill that the play-based theory improves is communication and social emotional awareness. They're aware of their emotions. Third kid in, I want my 3-year-old to slow down a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. No, you know what? It's so important for them to be able to speak up and say what they want. It's so important for them to be able to speak up and say what they don't want. Even, and if you don't learn that at a young enough age, you struggle with that. As you get older, you struggle with that as a teen, you struggle with that as a young adult, and then you get into like adult life, and you're not advocating for yourself. Yeah. So it's so important for him. And then there's this bond, right, that you create with you and your child where they feel comfortable coming to you. I always tell my kids, there's no such thing as trouble. Okay.
None.
No one can get you in trouble. You come here and we talk about things, good or bad, right? If you go to the extremes, well, honey, you're in trouble, right? But
I can't help you avoid consequences, but I'm here.
Look, if you go to the extremes, but let's just understand, and it's good to like implement that with the kids. It's not that you won't get disciplined or you won't deal with consequences, but they know, well, mom, I really wanted that M&M. and I didn't have the money, and I was with Miss Susie, and she kept saying no, and I was like, listen, my belly's calling it. So I just snatched it, opened it, ate 3, and then put the rest in my pocket because I thought nobody else wants it now that I've opened it, right? But like, you get to understand like the honesty, the innocence to their thought process, or some kids are not that innocent, but you get to understand, and then they feel comfortable letting you know what's going on with them and what they were thinking. So it is very important. I'm so impressed. Just you saying that. Yeah, I'm so impressed with you because it takes time, especially you might
and patience.
It takes time and patience for you as a parent. It takes time for them, and sometimes kids can say, remember they had that show, Kids Say the Darnest Things.
My house.
Yes, they can be unapologetically mean at times, and honest. It's not mean. It's not coming from a mean place, but it can really hurt feelings. Right? They can hurt egos and prides.
My daughter is really like raw and uncut. So I've taught her that like some people can't
take it.
How to take it. So she'll say, Mommy, I'm not trying to be rude, but
Okay. Well, at least she's kind of like giving it like a little intro of, I'm not really trying to hurt your feelings, but you saw.
I'm just speaking my mind, so know. So I can speak her mind, but still be aware that someone may be going through something at home. So you can't say, it's not polite. You can't say, like, teaching her to still have her voice, especially as a Black girl, and not be afraid to use her voice and speak out. But to just be cautious of, not necessarily cautious in a way of, oh, she always has an attitude type thing, but to speak your mind and be conscious of the other person's feelings. Not like I said, like if someone is like, oh, she's a Black girl, so she has an attitude, that's why she's loud. Not in that aspect, because we're not worried about that. You know where you're coming from in your place. You just want the other person to understand it, especially if it's someone that you love. And there's that people can misunderstand how you intend to say things, right? Especially because they can have biases, just like angry Black girl, right? And we're gonna get the stereotypes even when we're gonna get it. Regardless.
We're gonna get those, we're gonna get those racial biases regardless, right? So it's so important for her to be able to speak up. I remember as a child, I was pretty outspoken, pretty direct. I'm still pretty direct. I've gotten in trouble, not trouble, but people have reacted, like, well, why you got to be so this way, or you're being so rude. And I can speak my mind, but just because you cannot receive it, or just because you kind of got your feelings hurt, it doesn't necessarily mean that my tone is rude or the intention is rude. And I think I said this on a previous podcast. I tend to say, your perception is not my intention.
Yep.
But as an adult, I can say that, right? But growing up, people can assume, oh, that person's being so rude. Why? Because that child is being so rude. Oh, your kid's rude. No, my child is outspoken.
Yep.
And deal with your feelings for a bit, because they're not intentionally trying to be rude to you.
Nope.
They're just expressing, right, what they feel, right?
Yep, and their questions, because in our culture, it's like, don't ask me all these questions. I'm not answering this question. You don't ask an adult a question. And my kids ask a ton of questions, and sometimes I have to reel my family in. Like, she's not being rude. She's just asking a question because she's seriously curious. Like, she'll ask me, Dad, why do you sit on the same spot on the couch? You took it as her being rude. She's not being rude. She's really curious on why you sit in the same spot.
And culturally, like, there's work there that needs to be done, because some of that, the family members that are taking offense to it, there's work there that needs to be done. There's healing there that needs to be done. When I say work, right? Because they're not taking in where that's being passed down from, how long that's being passed down from. And we need our children to be able to speak up and to be curious, because you know what, when shit happens outside of the house, we're going to be like, well, why didn't you tell anybody? Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you tell me? How am I supposed to help you if you don't tell me? Every time I tell you something, you tell me I'm being rude.
Or you brush it under the rug as if it's not important.
Right. So I'm not heard.
Yep.
Right. Wow.
And that's where the play base comes into it, because like, you start with sitting pretty much with your child or they're next to you. It can be independent play, but it's building communication. You're literally talking with your kids while they're playing.
Yeah. And then they just trust you and they're comfortable.
You're building that relationship
and telling you things. I know that I have told, like I've said in previous shows, my mom passed away young, and my stepmom also passed away when I was a teenager. So I would speak to my grandmother and my father, but I mean, I've told them things. But primarily, I've told them things where I've gotten a what? As a response. Excuse me, sorry. But you know what? Because I would tell them things like, my grandmother would call me and be like, honey, you okay? Because she knew what was going on with me, right? My father, he was like, what? And then like, sometimes men don't communicate that great, especially like, I'm going to say Caribbean men, but it can be.
And they don't connect the dots. Sometimes it just goes over their head.
Yeah, but it was important for me to tell them directly. So they didn't hear from other people. So it was important for me to keep that openness, right? And because of it, even like one time I was going through things, and my father, even though he was ill at the time, would call me on a daily basis to check on me, right? And it's because I was open, and I might have been that outspoken child, and I was a little rude, but
it worked because it also helped the relationship with your dad and your grandmother, because you being open. And it's one thing to have an open child, but it's another thing for the parent to embrace it, to make that outspoken child to be comfortable.
That's it right there. That is it right there. And that's it time and time again. My kids are very open, right? They're not going to tell you everything.
No.
Right? They're going to get to a stage where they don't tell you everything. And I try to avoid that, like with my daughter. Hey, if you don't start telling me things now, honey, at 14, at 16, you're not going to tell me anything. But now she's 23 and she'll tell me, right? My son's 19, he'll tell me. So if you're starting at this really young age, Mom, guess what she did out there today? And she was acting like this, and him, And Mom, you know what I said? I'm not in my business. Like they will just. It's almost culturally, you're embracing a new change culturally for them, and that is something they will implement with their families. So let's talk about this play base, because this is so important for our kids to be able to have a voice.
So it's nothing new. It was just pushed to the side with another thing that the government decided to do. They wanted to implement the No Child Left Behind. So with the No Child Left Behind thing in the U.S., pretty much they created these core standards for almost all the states to be on the same page. So you 36 states that use the same common core standards to make sure that the kids are developing appropriately. Okay. At a certain level. But what that did, that put pressure on parents and early childhood educators to, I need to hurry up and have my kid doing this by kindergarten. Then it went to, I need to have my kid doing this by pre-K. Like, why are we pressuring 3-year-olds to read? Right. And then
it's not just pressure for the 3-year-old, it's pressure for the parent.
The parent, that's who it ultimately falls on. So instead of the parent being able to teach their kids and let their child be a kid, they're pressured to like, oh my God, you need to sit down and read this right here. You need to understand this. And they're skipping so many important steps. First of all, let's let them learn how to letter sounds before we try to get them to read. Let's let them play and be kids before we put them in the pressures of this world. And then you wonder why you have a teenager that's depressed, because it started when they were 3 and 4. So that's where play-based comes into play. It's all about fun and learning in a purposeful way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like that. And I think about my grandniece. She, her mom and my sister, they're very, very open with her. And they speak to her not as like she's like a little child. They just speak to her normally, respectfully, and she is just very outspoken. And sometimes you're like, who am I talking to? You know, and the comprehension, you know, I remember being younger and people be like, some people don't have a comprehension because people don't know how to comprehend what's being said and what they're learning and things like that. But when you're speaking so openly to the child, they truly take it in and they can break it down and understand. And if they don't, that curiosity allows them to kind of poke the holes and comfortably ask questions. And I love a curious child. I'm a curious child. I love a curious child, right? Because that's a child. I mean, sure, I will say at 7 to 9, that shit could be a no. Like, can you just stop, please? Do I?
That's what
it's red.
That's why I said patience.
Yeah. We didn't learn all of that.
They're sponges.
They are.
That I get, like I almost started a series with my oldest on his questions, like, Mom, why is the color white? Like, how did that come about? Because we mix colors, but where did white come from? Or, Mommy, do spiders go to hell? I don't know.
That's a good one. Do they go to hell? Well, I mean, every time they draw that web up and we wipe it down, yes, they do.
Because we don't like spiders, so I guess that's where they go, because...
They definitely are making it upwards.
But yeah, so those are like, a curious child creates a creative child, which creates an innovative adult. And like I talked about a little bit on one of my podcasts, like everyone wants their kid to grow up and be a successful adult, be the next Steve Jobs or Oprah, or something like that. It starts at birth, honestly, but it starts when their brain is really developing under 5, teaching them to be creative, because you have to think outside the box to create the iPhone, you know, like those big old phones. I remember my dad having this big old huge like phone as the first phone with the antenna. You have to think out the box and not follow the rules. So
achieve irresistibly soft and hydrated skin with a Honam sugar scrub. Whether it's lemon, turmeric, or lime, polish away dead, dull, dry skin, lift dirt, and stimulate a natural, healthy glow. Then simply moisturize with Honam shea butter to reduce blemishes and marks. Love your Honam. Shop blackprint.com.
to speak to create the things that we use that are different, you know? Yeah. So that starts under 5.
Yeah, and you're right. It does start in the tummy. It does. Yeah. It starts in the tummy. It really does. For my daughter, I played a lot of R&B, and she is my creative child. She's an artist. No, she is. She's my creative child. She draws, she paints, right? And she sings, and that's the R&B. With my son, I played classical music and hip hop. I went to like a Ludacris concert at like 8 months. Move, bitch. He's coming out. But, you know, and he's my analytical child, right? So it does start in the tummy. I remember my daughter's father would be coming home at a certain time every night, and he would lay, I think, on like the left-hand side of me, and he would tap my tummy like 3 times, bap, bap, bap. And because she was accustomed to him coming home, let's say it was 10, whatever time it was, by the time we laid down, she was used to that tap, tap, tap. If he didn't tap, 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 my tummy was going tap, tap, tap. It's that stimulation. Even my grandniece, I used to always talk to my niece's tummy. So like when she came out, even a child at my work, when they came out, they recognized the voice. So it starts in the tummy, right? That's why they say read to your tummy, sing to your tummy. Yeah, don't feel silly doing those things. And when they come out, you get to play with them. And then when they grow up, they're just like this amazing child with this great character because they're free, right?
Tapping into their true purpose at a young age. Like my whole thing with before I knew it was play-based, my whole thing was I didn't want my child out here 25 plus years old trying to figure out what their purpose is.
I don't think you can avoid that though, Nyetta.
No, I think you can.
You can?
Yeah, I think so. Not necessarily like, so finding your purpose as an adult. So it goes back into like our generation of you growing up in there saying, oh, you're going to be a doctor or lawyer or accountant.
Yeah.
Something it wasn't pushed on, oh, you can be an artist, a dancer. That was frowned upon. So then you go, you get your degree, you're in business and you're in corporate and you're depressed because in your heart, in your soul, you want to be a dancer.
Else,
or like your daughter, you sing and you want to do art, but you've been forced into going to get a degree and being an accountant. So that's what I mean by finding.
The only thing I don't agree with is I think so. People are going to like me for this one. I actually think that the education system is a little wrong, but in the sense that I think you should experience multiple things. And so that to me, I think you still remain curious. So the reason I said I don't think you can avoid is because sure, there's that pressures. Do you really know what you want to do at 18 before you go into university? You probably don't. You probably, no. I said, I want to be a singer. I said, I want to be a lawyer. I said, I want to be a judge. I don't want to be any of those things. I want to be outspoken. I can't sing. So I listened to Whitney. So I wanted to be that. Then I got to a certain age, like my parents were listening to Whitney, right? So then I got to a certain age, I was listening to me. Of course I want to sing. I got to a certain age where SWV, my nieces and my cousins were singing SWV with me, right? But I still didn't know. So the reason I say I don't think you can avoid it is because I think that when there's so many options, you might have thought of certain things, but you still need to go and see, that's, to me, I think that's where you start school. And then you're like, well, I don't know really what course to take. I'm kind of gravitating to this one, but I really want to try this one. I really also want to try this one. And it kind of seems like there's no focus. But I think it's important for that young adult to still kind of figure out what they like and figure out what they don't like, because they change as time goes by. So some kids know, yes, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a veterinarian. I love healing and playing with my cats, and I love being around pets, and they know, but I don't think it's linear for everyone. I think that some kids and some people need to experience different things to see what resonates with their soul, just as you're saying, their inner child, so that that inner child can be happy, so that they don't get into that corporate job. When I started my very first job, when I had my daughter, I went around, I was 21, I was very curious, I had my daughter young, and I went around the office and I started asking people questions, because when I say I'm curious, I'm really curious. And I was like, do you love your job? Is this what you want to do? Is this what you went to school for? And they were like, yes and no, yes and no. And yes, I went to school for this. No, I didn't. But the majority were saying, not that they don't like their job, they're just not really happy with what they're doing. And I'm like, well, why are you still doing it? Well, because I have bills to pay. I have responsibilities. I made a mental note. Don't get to that stage, Miss Simon, Shereen, where you're in an environment at a certain age and I'm not happy with what I do. And sometimes it's hard to get out of that unless you have that bandwidth to have that freedom, right? If you have kids young, you don't have that bandwidth. If you have a lot of responsibility, you may not have that bandwidth financially, right? So that's why I said I don't think it's linear for everyone is probably the better way to say it. Yeah.
I agree to a certain extent as far as it's not for everyone, because nothing isn't for everyone. But I'm gonna because you said a lot, I'm gonna go back. So to make the inner child happy, that inner child starts when you're a child. So that's when you're in your exploration stage, which is where the play comes into. So true. Like in our culture, like it's pushed for boys to play football. Well, how do you know that this is the sport that you want to play if you haven't tried all the sports? So
or at least multiple.
Right. And most kids decide what they're going to do between the ages of 7 and 9 if you put everything in front of them. Like, even if you study successful people, designers, they always knew between that age frame what they wanted to do. And they circle back around to it years and years and years later through challenges in adulthood. So going back to the sports example, my son, I want to play football. cool. We're going to let you play flag football because I'm not letting you get a concussion this early. You can't play.
Oh, yeah. Your brain's still developing. Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but we're going to also try golf. We're going to try tennis. We're going to try soccer. What else did he try?
He tried all of those?
Yes. Before the age, we tried t-ball. So before the age of 8, we tried all those different sports, and he ended up sticking with soccer. Now he's the best at soccer. He can focus on just soccer. He wants to focus on just soccer, but he was able to make that decision because we tried all these different sports. I do want to circle back around to t-ball because he tried t-ball at 3. So I just want to we'll circle back to baseball. So I want to circle back to that just to make sure he's good with his decision. But we tried all of that, and now he's on soccer and he's stuck with it. This is what he want to do. The same thing with my daughter. Like, she's like, I'm gonna be a gymnast. Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm doing gymnastics, but we're gonna try all this. I mean, she's 6.5. She'll be 7 in January. We're gonna try all this other stuff. So we're gonna try soccer. We're gonna try basketball while you're still doing gymnastics. She's stuck in gymnastics. She's tested out of her age group. She's at the highest of her age group. Like, she just tested out, and we're at a new gym because we just moved to North Carolina. She got by the 35. So that's what I mean by like trying different things. My youngest, he's in soccer right now. He likes it because my oldest is doing it, but now that he's actually doing it a little more because
he wants to explore.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know if I like this. So we may put him into flag football next, tennis. But yes, you let them explore different things. And then with the play-based, there are play-based museums across the U.S. And I'm sure there's a ton in Canada.
You mean like activity places?
Yes. Museums set up to where kids can pretend to be veterinarians. They can pretend to be a baby. They can pretend to be an OBGYN. They can pretend to be a firefighter.
The problem is, I don't know. I'm like so out of that. But
you're past that stage.
Yeah. I'm like, there is what? But I'm a little
they
fun.
Can pretend to be a podcaster. They can pretend to be a fashion designer. And the parents, so Kids Zania is in Dallas. It's made of all glass. It's a town ran by kids. The parents stay out the window, and the kids do what they do as far as being police officers. They go around town giving people tickets. They be they're
too young.
Yes, they're doing hairstyling. My daughter was a hairstylist, and I'm not in there with her interrupting her creative play. She's just doing it. Like so that's where they figure out their purpose and what they like doing, so that when they become an adult, that inner child already knows what they want to do. So that's what I mean by finding your purpose and not being lost. Like, they tap into the inner child early and know what they want to do.
Yeah, I actually, you made me think of it. Like, my stepmom had me in everything. I had a great childhood. I was free. I think I've even said before, like, I used to get in a lot of trouble because I played hard, right? Yeah. Like, I love to play. My son, when he was young, he loves to play. But same like what you're saying. I was in figure skating. I was in ballet. I was in jazz. I was in piano.
Figure it out. What you like and what you
don't like. I was in swimming. I was in all of these things. Like, there was no break, right? There was no break. And then when we were home, man, did we ever we rode our bikes everywhere around Alberta. We everywhere in Edmonton. Like, we played. I was Wonder Woman. I played really hard. Hide and go seek was my favorite game. But
those rocks, just doing simple things to keep their mind moving, and they're not in front of a device, or so to speak. It's so many kids, like you said,
but it was different then. We didn't have, like, devices came, but they weren't even as evolved as they are now. Right. So it was quite different. And I had my son in 2 sports, and as you were naming all those things, and I was thinking, oh shoot, I was in all those things too. Not everybody has that experience. Not every parents can provide that opportunity for their kids to be able to explore everything. And you're right. I'm just making such the connection. I always say that I was the free child. I'm so free, and I'm this and I'm that. I was given that space to be free. You're providing the space for your kids. That no wonder, of course, your child is outspoken. No, because you're providing the opportunity and the space for your child to play and explore. And then that's how some of those kids become visionaries, because I was playing with this and I realized that this doesn't work like this, so if I just do this and do this, it fixes it. And you're like, damn it, we got a business opportunity, but like, let's start a plan, like, let's get this going, get some funding. Not every household has that same opportunity to provide. My kids played rep sports, right? And I was the coach. And before my kids played rep basketball, my son played soccer, and I was the coach. Like, I wasn't coach for basketball. I was the volunteer mom. So I was the manager of the teams, or I was varsity manager of like multiple teams, but before that, I was the soccer coach. Not everybody has that opportunity. Not everybody has that time. Not everybody has that income to provide that opportunity. So it's about, how do you get creative in your household if you don't have the same opportunity as other households, and how do you open it up? And I mean, before you even have the funding, it's more, get that ball from the dollar store and let's go run up and down the field, or
they sell a whole bag of balls that you can get.
I bought it,
no matter how big or small it is. And I know this is gonna sound insensitive, but as a parent, that's like, we're not millionaires. We figure out a way and make a way. And we do sacrifice as a parent to make sure that our kids are able to explore and do different things. Like, I may find a free program. I may find like a free clinic that they're doing. We may do rec only. We can't do this competition team yet, but let me figure out if this is where you want to go. Like, now my son is stuck on soccer. Now I know that I need to get this money up to put you on this travel team. So it's it starts at home, but you can legit ball up a piece of paper and make it a ball. Like, your kids won't necessarily know the difference, while you can still build that skill. Like, the kids don't know a financial struggle, and they
and they shouldn't. Sometimes, unfortunately, they do experience the outcomes of the lack of finances, but they really shouldn't. And I mean, to no fault of their own, and not judging households that have challenges, definitely been in my own. But I mean, I had the same conversation with my daughter like 2 weeks ago, and she's like, Mom.
Start your morning with a delicious, gentle, natural cleanse. Encourage movement, release gas, and remove toxins as you revive your body for the day. Looking to release water weight and kickstart a healthier journey? Try botanically blended Gentle Ease Digestive Tea. Shop now on blackprint.com.
We really had a really good childhood, and she was thinking about, like, just kind of reflecting based off of other people's experiences. And she's like, even though we had a challenge, and we started to talk about, well, what was the hardest time? She's like, but I never really experienced it. Like, she wasn't conscious of maybe what was going on in the environment, right? And I'm a single mom, right? I'm a single parent, so
she wasn't conscious. I mean, so, and maybe I'm coming from a personal space. Like, I didn't have a good childhood. I grew up in Atlanta, Kirkwood, very hood, roaches and rats in our house, 2-bedroom house that my grandmother bought a long time ago, falling apart, like shootings, drive-bys. Like, I remember vividly, like, the helicopter spotlight, being in the backyard looking for somebody, or vividly, he's walking,
you grew up in it.
The lights being off, or having to go to my grandparents to take a hot shower because we don't got hot water. So I grew up in it, and I guess that's why I can see a way of being creative, so that my kids don't know that financial struggle, but they still get the best of themselves and being able to freely explore and be creative as that child. So I get both sides of it. I get both sides of it. I had a very rough childhood, but I'm not putting that on my kids, and I'm making sure that me and my husband create a way for them to truly express themselves.
And you know what? Honestly, when you grow up in a rougher neighborhood, and when things are tougher, that's actually when you really need to know how to express yourself, right? Actually, it's a little bit of both. I'm not going to take away from either experience. It's a little bit of both, because you could have the best environment and not have the best environment.
And you can have the best financial picture, but still, not have the
things going on, and you don't know how to say, or the person that you're saying it to is not listening. So then, we're just creating other traumas. Yep. And then you can be in a tough situation. You can be growing up in this rough neighborhood, or just like those younger years where your parents are trying to figure out, they could be really struggling. And maybe you don't have someone to talk to, or you do have someone to talk to, or who are you talking to? So you can't take away from either side, but the point that you're making, I totally agree with, is just how does the parent be creative with that child? And so let's talk a little bit about this play.
Okay, so the parent can be creative with play by just simply, you can either use resources from the Dollar Tree. You can go on my website and there's a whole activity guide. It doesn't necessarily give you the ideas or it doesn't give you the activity. It gives you the idea, because everything is catered to the child. The child is going to tell you what they want to play, but the guide shows you what goals and how you can organize the play to help meet their developmental goals and milestone goals. So, for example, if you need your child to jump with both feet together, then you create a game on you jumping, hopscotch, things like that. Like the stuff that we did back in the day, it's just bringing that back full circle, and then understanding why that was important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then another thing, as far as my first grader, we're working on patterns. So I don't have her doing patterns on the worksheet. I have these little bins like this, and she can go and she either can create patterns with the stickers, or she can create patterns with, and all this stuff is super simple. Or last night I did a webinar to help parents with kids under 5 work on their fine motor skills, which is the skills that they need to hold a pencil. So one of the activity ideas was a rubber band ball. Grab a pack of rubber bands and let them put it around a piece of paper, because they're pulling and stretching and working on those skills that they need to write. So before you give the 2-3-year-old a pencil, give them a rubber band. Hold
on, that in itself is very creative. What made you think of that? That in itself is very creative, because as you're saying that, I remember, because you're figuring out how do I hold it so I could write A, right? And you can't even think about the A, because you can't figure out, okay, but they say right between, but then it hurts my fingers. There's a lot going on with just this, right? And nowadays, I don't know if what's happening in the schools. Are they still teaching them handwriting, cursive? Because I know
so certain schools teach it. So I look for schools that either teach it, and if they don't teach it, I teach it. So
teach it at home. I love to handwrite. That's how I write, right? And you had to learn that skill before, but you got to learn this. So how would you even think about rubber bands on a ball? That alone is so creative.
That's the thing. I'm not doing anything new. It's been around since the 60s on play-based and ways to build the fine motors. I'm just the voice behind it, because it's been lost. It's been lost in the crowds of trying to get your toddler to read and write or do math. It starts before they pick up a pencil. So I'm just hey, research shows, I think her name is Ray Pika, back in 1970 said that rubber band ball was the best way to work on their fine motor skills to help them write and do
really like that. So tell us another example. Another tip. No, I really like that, because I've never heard of that. I never played. I'm sure I played with a rubber band ball before, but not intentionally. It's actually really great. I know you're saying that this has been around. You're not giving it yourself as that much credit. That's pretty impressive. How does it connect? And I'm being so serious. So
I know, I can see it in your face.
I'm being so serious. I'm what? What is she talking about? Why would I play with it? Okay. Then they're snapping the rubber band. But okay, so if the child is having a temper tantrum, what's a good way? And let's give them 2-3 years old. Because sometimes, wait a minute, 4 years old. 4 years old. I was playing with my niece. I watched my niece have a temper tantrum at 4. I think I heard her because my brother and them would deal with that. Woo, child.
You're the auntie. You just give them back.
Give them back. I gotta close this door. I gotta listen to an ebook or something.
I love it.
You gotta go deal.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with that? They're screaming, and I don't actually know what's going on, but like sometimes there's not a reason. I did see my niece at 4. We were watching a movie, and I was sitting on the sofa. My brother wasn't home, and her mom wasn't home, and she just woke up. I want my daddy, and I don't want to watch this anymore. And I was like, oh damn, well, okay, let's just turn the channel. Let's find. And I love cartoons, and I love to play. So I was trying to like engage with her, and all she heard was, what's taking daddy so long to get home? And I was like, I don't know, but I wish he would arrive as well.
We both will be crying in a minute.
Just stop. You cry, I cry, so we all cry together. Yeah, like, you gonna have a temper tantrum? I can throw up too, girl.
So no, that's one way. So that the temper tantrum at 4 is a little bit eased at 2. So you started to teaching them how to communicate, telling me your needs, and if your child can't vocally communicate, you do sign language. So my husband struggled with understanding the toddlers, because they say like only the mom can understand a 2-year-old or 3-year-old.
Although the child is saying daddy first, but okay.
Right.
Tune in.
So I taught my kids sign language so that they can know how to tell my husband their needs. So
so impressive. I remember they used to teach us sign language. I don't even remember any of it, but you're teaching your kids, girl.
Just the basic needs. So this is like cup. This is more like just the basic, and then I think you tap their side for diaper. Like just teaching them how to communicate.
And those are actual sign language. Like
yes. Yes. And then this is drink. So just like I taught them maybe 5 or 6 things so that they can communicate. Like they're saying they're saying it, but my husband doesn't. He's like, what do you want? Like, and so that's where like a tantrum could start at that age, like not being able to meet the kids' need and not understanding because they can't properly communicate with you, and you're getting frustrated because you don't know what they're saying. They're getting frustrated because you don't understand them. So it's just a miscommunication. That's what a temper tantrum is. So play-based doesn't necessarily help avoid the temper tantrum, but it kind of goes in line with the conscious discipline, which is a different approach to disciplining your child. So conscious discipline teaches you how to, one, if your child is having a temper tantrum, you let them get it out. You don't stop them from the crying. You let them get it out, and you make sure.
That's why she was crying for so long.
Yeah. So, and sometimes you can get down. It depends because you have it's a stage after the temper tantrum. So the temper tantrum is when it first starts, and you can get down to the level, hey, what's wrong? How can I help you? And sometimes they'll calm down and communicate. But if it goes on too long, then you're at the point to where you have to let them get themselves together. And then you try to talk to them, because at that point they can't hear. The ears are useless once they've been crying for a while. Yeah. You just have to let them get it out, and you teach them to do it in a safe way. Like a lot of parents don't like their kids stomping and stuff like that, so they don't necessarily have to stomp off from you. But if they need to stomp in place, if they need to punch a pillow, or if they need to like without hitting anything or hitting you, let them get that anger out, because they're trying to figure out what to do with those emotions. And then you come and you talk to them. Yeah. So once they've been crying, I say for like 5 minutes, there's no use in talking to them and asking them what they want. You have like that first couple of minutes to get down at that level. What do you need? But a need is not being met, and you don't know what that need is, because you're still working. They're still trying to process their emotions, and you as an adult have to be patient. Like you don't want to. As auntie, you can match their energy, but as mom and dad,
close the door.
Yeah,
I'll be right back. I'm going to the store.
as mom and dad, you don't want to match that energy. So sometimes, like my husband is like, "Oh, you got a lot of patience. I don't know where you get it from. The kids should be thankful for you." Because I'll just sit there. Like this. I won't talk to them. I won't look at them. Like I just go still, and I sit there until my toddler is ready, and then he'll say, "Mommy," and I'll say yes, and he'll say, "Can we talk?" Sure. Or sometimes he can't even communicate that. So I'll just wait, and he'll stop. And I say, "Hey, you okay? What do you need from mommy? Do you need a hug? Do you need kisses?" And then once he's calm and he has that comfort, then I say, what was wrong? And he'll say, "Well, I was sad."
What was going on there? You were going through it, baby. You were 5 minutes. This was a long one.
Well, he'll say, "I was sad because I couldn't get a dessert," and we'll just talk about it.
But you finished yesterday and you had the last piece.
And then we're able to talk about it. But when they're in there, I think it's called a fight stage, but the temper tantrum and then it's the fight stage. Once they're in the fight stage, there's no point in talking to them.
Yeah. You do have some patience. And I was thinking, this must be you being in the Army, because some parents would be, sometimes we just feel like we need to try to like resolve what's going on. But sometimes the resolution is being still, to your point. Maybe, parents out there listening, watching, just chill and get into the space. Let that be white noise for you. You're fine. Because sometimes, growing up culturally, you'd be like, you want something to cry for, right? And there's the threat to get them to stop. And maybe not temper tantrum, but I mean, it comes in at some point, and that's probably because the parent has kind of lost the patience and they don't want to know how to deal with what's going on, right?
Yep, you're frustrated, you're tired, you're stressed, and you just don't want to hear that noise. And honestly, it was in the Army. I was a hothead in the Army. So
you were a hothead in the Army?
I was a hothead.
Like
so it wasn't the Army. It was just having a third kid, and 3 kids is a lot. And then I worked in a preschool after I started the business, just to get more hands-on experience with different kids and different situations so that I can properly help more moms at home, because I can do it based on my kids, but every kid is different. So I have 3 different kids, but let me put myself in a situation to where I have this child that is needing their dad and their dad's not at home. Let me put myself in this situation where this kid doesn't necessarily have is on the spectrum for autism, but they can't properly communicate yet, and all they know to do is fight because of their background. Or let me put myself in a situation where mom and dad is just domestic violence at home, and the kid comes to school and does that. So the preschool really helped me with that. And then going into I think her name is Beth, but she's the person behind the conscious discipline method, and that really helped me as well. I think I have my book. So this is one of the first books. I do a lot of reading. So that's her name, Dr. Becky Bailey. But it's the conscious discipline and just managing emotional mayhem, like it says, and stuff like that. So really grounding myself as a parent to make sure that I'm meeting their emotional needs, and doing a lot of research so that what I learn I could put out, because I know a lot of parents don't read and don't have the time to research stuff.
The time, yeah. I think that's so impressive, and it's helping parents. And if you go on your website, if you go on your website, it says like you've helped over 500 moms, like,
yes.
Excuse me. It's so impressive, because sometimes as a parent, we kind of feel a little hopeless, or we're tired. And especially if you have multiple kids, it gets busy. So yeah. But like, there's no time to take a breath. There's no time to just stop from it, even gather your own thoughts. Right, because you're busy being mom, you're busy being wife. If you're married, if not, you're thinking of all the things that might be missing, or you're on to whatever the next thing that needs to get done is. Who has time to sit and play? Or you do play, but like, okay, so we're done playing now. Let's put this away because mom's got to go deal with other things. But the child is not ready, so having methods to help manage and just redirect them, or guide them, or okay, let's continue playing, but you continue playing over here well, mommy does this over here.
Mm-hmm.
It's helpful. It's definitely helpful. But you also do programs, right? And I know your programs are local, but your activity guide folks can get from your website, correct?
So online and in person can get the activity guides. The in-person classes are STEAM and then art for toddlers, because that was started because even in Georgia, I noticed like everyone is doing art classes and STEAM classes or just fun things for kids 5 and up. Well, what about the little people? Like my 3-year-old wants to do a science experiment. He wants to do. So I created it. That's where it came from. Like I moved to the area and I realized it's not here. So I just created, and it's just the struggle is getting parents to embrace it. But that's where
I was going to say the parents must love you. So
it's because a lot of parents don't understand that their kids can paint. So if I tell a mom that my 3-year-old is painting, I have to show her how they're painting, because they're like, oh, they're just going to put that in their mouth. That's a waste of money. But we use taste safe paint. So we use flour. And if I'm doing a class, and depending on, so I do a survey of what age group I'll have, if the kids have any allergies, if the parent has any concerns. So we bake the flour to kill the germs, and then we use flour, water, and a few drops of food coloring. I'll use Kool-Aid, and that's their paint. So if they put it in their mouth, it's okay. We don't want them to eat it, but it's taste safe. We're not using toxic things, you know? So parents,
again, creative, very creative, very, very creative. And safe, to your point. I mean, safe until they get older and they're like, well, why can't I eat this one? I've been eating it for the last 3 years.
But, different stages to the kids, different stages, but yes.
Yeah.
So just create something for them, to the kids under 5 to do and not be left out, because having 3 kids, my toddler was feeling very left out, and I'm like, well, we can create mommy, he calls it mommy classes, we can create mommy classes for you to do this with friends as well. Like, why can't a 3-year-old do a science experiment? Like my son, my toddler just asked me if we can make magnetic slime. So why can't we make yeah, so, and it's also doing it's also,
your kids are just intelligent over there. They're the most smartest kids over there.
It's stressful sometimes. I'm not even gonna lie.
You're like, well, hold on, let me just Google what that even means.
What ingredients I need? Tell me.
Yeah. Tell me. And what do we need? I'm just making the groceries. What the hell?
And that's where the class comes into play, because a lot of parents don't allow Play-Doh and slime in their house. Like, they're against it because it's so messy. So you can come to my class and get messy, and I clean it up, and you go home and you know, like, mommy, thank you for taking me to that class. You're the hero, and I clean up the mess for you. I just I want the kids to experience it, and I want the moms to see the kids experience it so that they know it's possible.
Yeah. And it does help the moms. And you know, what is it like? How is it safe? You're just introducing new things to them, because maybe sometimes the parents are not as creative as you are, right? So
you're not.
Ideas,
they have fun too. We have some parents. I did a class with Oblique, and it kind of makes me sad, but the little girl, she was 4 and she had never painted like ever. So I'm like, you know, for me that's
you're like, are you even parenting?
And I was trying not to judge, because I understand. She's like, we don't do messes in our house. Okay, cool. Bring her here and we can do messes. But she started like, oh my God, what is this? Like, she was paying more than her daughter. She was like, wait, let me get some.
Yeah. You don't do messes, huh? You're getting kind of messy over here. But that's good. Then it gets them comfortable, gets the parent as well comfortable. I know I didn't like so as a child I liked Play-Doh. My kids went to French school, so we'd say pâte Monglais, and like I'm like, no pâte Monglais in my house, because we do not want Play-Doh. Just gets places, right? So you need to try.
That's the secret. Give them a tray. Teach them, if you're grabbing a Play-Doh, you need to grab a tray, and the two always go together.
Looking at it, just making it so simple.
I mean, so don't
so obvious.
Play-Doh in my carpet too, because sometimes my 3-year-olds just like forget the tray I'm about to play. So I do get Play-Doh in the carpet. I just let it dry and then I pull it up. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Like, we have a cleaning crew come, and I was amazed that she got the Play-Doh up. I told her to leave it, but she tried it anyway. So I don't torture anyone else to get the plate off the carpet. Yeah, but it does.
You could give her a recommendation. Listen, if it gets anything, call my girl. I got someone for you. So. Make sure she gives you an affiliate link.
So yeah, you could just pull it up out the carpet after like 2 days. I wouldn't get it up right away because it'll just spread. So just let it dry completely and then pluck it up out the carpet, which I know a lot of parents don't want to do that. So just get the tray.
Okay. So I want to go back a little bit to your guide. Like what can you give us a little bit more details into like what some of the examples that the guide can kind of help with?
So there's 2 different guides. So on my website, there's the guide that teaches you how to plan purposeful play so that you can set goals on what your kid is learning. And then I just created another guide that you can get when you join my mom chat Zooms. So last night, that was the mom chat on Zoom. And that, I don't know if I can share my screen. So I can share my screen. So
yeah.
That particular guide gives you a weekly planner. It's set up Monday through Friday, and then it has weekends. And then there's also, it's like a grid light. And then there's 4 spaces. We have the independent play. So I give you activities on what your kid can do independently. And then there's a block for business because most of the moms have some type of business. So there's also a block for you to plan what you'll do in that 20 to 30 minute block or while they're doing independent play. Yep. And then so we have the quality, because there are 2 activities a day. So then we have the quality time activity, so where you're actually spending that quality time with them for 20 to 30 minutes. And then we have dinner time. The quality time activity is the messier activity and something that they'll probably do at the kitchen table while you're cooking dinner. So you're kind of back and forth doing that with them. So one example of the quality time activity was I call it oatmeal oozy. It's just oatmeal clay, water, flour, and oatmeal oats. So it'll get a little messy with them mixing it, but you're already in the kitchen cooking dinner. So as you clean up the kitchen, you just clean up that too. Yep. So that's one example. And then there's a supply list. So the supply list is super simple because most of the items are household items. Like I just said, water, flour, and oats. Or for the rubber band ball, just rubber bands. You make binoculars in one of the activities. So that's just toilet paper rolls or paper towel that you couldn't have. So yeah. So
I used to collect paper towel, toilet paper rolls, and everybody, I'd get a lot of slack. I went to a lot of arts and crafts. When I wasn't in my activities, I would go to like the local arts and crafts. I'd ride my bike, and I would always collect whatever is left over because you can make so much with it, right? You can be so creative with it. So yeah, I understand keeping the toilet paper rolls. Yeah, I do.
That stuff is expensive outside of the toilet paper roll. If people don't
why should we have
cardboard rolls are expensive? Why buy it when it's already in your
exactly. Just finish up in the bathroom. Wash your hands and I'll grab the toilet paper roll.
And those are binoculars. Your kids, you can easily let them create it, make it the first time. That's an activity. The second time, let's grab your binoculars and go on a nature hunt. The third time, grab your binoculars if you need to make a consultation call or you just need to sit at the table in silence. Let them play I Spy with the binoculars.
I was just gonna say play I Spy. Girl, I know these games. I'm coming over to play. I know these games. I was just gonna say you can play I Spy. Or when we were in the car, my brother and I used to we'd be in Toronto during the summer times, and my grandparents had us driving all over the place, and we would be in the grandfather's parents had us driving all over the place, but we'd be in the car and my brother and I would be doing I Spy for whatever we see, or we'd be like looking at the car plates, the license plates. And I still look at license plates now because of that. You can have the binoculars and be like, I Spy Texas license plate, I Spy New York license plate. So, there's so much game, there's so much fun that you can.
In that one thing. Yep. Versus here, are we there yet? I'm hungry. I'm tired. I don't want to be in this car.
Yeah. Or you only want to hear the one song over and over, or you're just having the child watch a movie the whole time. Get them. We used to play, even you could buy those little battleship games or card games, but I like
Dollar Tree has all of that still, so you can get You can get it from Target, or you can make it yourself. But in the car is one of the best experiences because they're missing what's passing by them looking into a device. And again, don't get me wrong, my kids have tablets, but we have a restriction on it. And sometimes they're at the point now to where I don't want to get on my tablet. I want to see what's going on in the world around me. And that's what a developmental gap is with the kids under 5, because when they're playing and they're used to using their minds and being creative, they're not looking down in the device and missing the world that's passing by them.
Yeah, they're being stimulated when they're paying attention to their environment. And it also teaches them to pay attention to your environment.
Because like you said, you're a single mom, but even though I'm married, I do a lot of things with just me and the kids. So it's 3 of y'all and 1 of me. I need you all to be conscious of if anybody is walking up towards us while I'm putting on your little brother's shoe or something like that. So being aware of your environment and not stuck down in a device. Like, is this car pulling up behind us? Like, I hear, but I'm turning around. You can tell me before I'm, dealing with another kid trying to do multiple things. So yeah, just being aware of your environment. Or, mommy, that man looks creepy. Where, so
yeah, it's so important. And it's funny because you don't think about the benefits of play.
Nope.
You don't think about the benefits of play, and it literally impacts so many different areas of your life.
Yep, the whole child, not just the academic.
Yeah, and the adult.
Yep.
Because when you're given that space as a child, your mind frame is already set up for when you're an adult on how you think and how you look at things, right? Whereas if you don't have that space, you have to kind of unlearn things so that you can kind of learn how to be free.
Yep.
Right?
And teaches my kids to want to be not necessarily a free spirit, but like
a free spirit girl. Free spirit people. Yes.
Well, my oldest, I wouldn't call him a free spirit because he still is like, he doesn't like change. He likes things to be So for him, I would throw him a curveball by creating change in our routine just to help him emotionally develop with. Is something that's gonna be out of your control. But one of the things I've learned with the play base is they think differently. Like, they think so far out the box. I'm like, oh my God, okay, wait, let me get myself together. And then they love to travel. Like, they love to travel, and they do so good. Like, it's easier to get them up when we're getting on a plane at 5 o'clock in the morning than it is for anything else. So
I love this. And I have 2 ideas for you, but we're going to talk about it offline. Okay. And I think I remember them because you just said something. I was like, oh, so the first one, I don't want to lose it. The first one I know, I'm going to make a note. The first one I definitely know. And you just said something, but I might have to watch this video again so I can get it again. But or it'll come as we're talking. But yeah, I have like 2 ideas for you. Yeah, girl. This is really, really, actually, one I think we might have talked about before, but this is really good. And it's more about like recognizing, for you as a business owner, recognizing how to integrate it into other places so it can be openly welcomed by parents. I think this is so good. I was creative, so I'm okay with like the painting and everything. So my kids were creative. They played. Yeah. Their mama likes to play, so they played. They played, right? All now my kids are like, "Are you watching that cartoon?" I'm like, "Yeah, are you not?" Did you see?
You want to join me?
Yeah, like I think. Well, my daughter should watch a cartoon, but my son might be like, "But Mom, why are you watching that cartoon? You watch everything." Yes, because I'm multifaceted. Because that's why I can get into so many different things, or you can like not just get into so many different things from like a show standpoint, but you can integrate yourself into different things. You can resonate with different things, right?
You're diverse.
Yeah, you're so open, right? And you want to learn, right?
And that teaches you as an adult to embrace other cultures and things like that. So,
other cultures, their cultures and what they're doing, and then you can appreciate it. Right? You're not judgmental. You can appreciate.
I was just going to say not judging them because you don't understand or because it's different from your culture.
Like, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. All because you played as a child. It's so important. I'm so I'm so impressed with you, Nyetta. I mean, it's funny because we're on calls together, but this is the first I'm really getting to know you. So I just so appreciate your time. And even just like the time that you spent here, but just learning what you're doing. I'm so impressed with you. And like I said, I got a couple of ideas, so I can't wait to talk to you offline.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, if anyone's watching, check out Nyetta's website. Do you want to give them the site again?
Yes. So you can find me at www.theactivityplayhouse.com. I'm also on social media, everything, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of it is
Are you on TikTok?
I am on TikTok.
Okay, I gotta go follow you because I was thinking about you this morning. I'm like, I wonder what she's doing on TikTok. She must be so much fun. You should be really fun on TikTok.
I am not. So I'm not into like the TikTok trend. I just post my my episodes on TikTok. So
honey, some of the ideas you're making, all of these things you just said, and it's not about trends. You just gave a list of ideas that some parents are not thinking about. And that's what you need to be showing on TikTok. You need to be showing you want to make a healthy Play-Doh, pâte Monglet, and you show them the oatmeal and the flour. Do you want to take out the toxics out of your bake that for this? Like, no, Nyetta, this is it right here.
You sound like David.
Is that your husband?
No, David Shan.
Oh, David. Girl, yes, I do. Tell him.
You sound like him.
I'll take that compliment. No, but there's so many things that you can do. Like, girl, take your creativity and just show the world you, because just hearing it, I didn't even get all of this. You don't get all this good stuff going to the site. Like, going to the site, I can see what's going on. I download the activity guide. That's how I got into like, okay, now I know the age range that this is really hitting. And maybe it said it there somewhere that I didn't read. Okay. But but hearing how to play, and I know you have your podcast. I checked out like your podcast. And they're quick snippets. So you can listen. You can listen in the car. You can listen in the bathroom while you brush your teeth. Like,
because moms don't have a lot of time. You got to give
exactly. You're making your coffee. You hit. What's the name of the podcast?
Let Kids Play.
Yes, you go to that and you listen to something as you make that coffee. You're making a bottle. You're cutting up cheese and crackers.
Yep.
You can listen to something, but you can also. Oh, girl, I just got. Man, you're gonna have to pay me. I need 20%. I need 20. Let me just write this one down for you.
The accountability group.
Yeah, it's a good thing we're in it, right? You're gonna be like, this girl will start texting me what to do. Why don't she go figure out her own life? Nyetta, you need to do this.
I appreciate it all.
No, but there's so much opportunity here for you and for the parents, and there's so much value in what you're offering, and it just makes their life, the parents' life, a little easier. It makes it more fun for the child. And there's so many benefits that come out.
And everyone's happy and
everyone is happy.
Learning. Yep.
Yeah. And so if parents who are watching that have young babies, that have toddlers, get into Nyetta, and she's going to change her social media. I just can see it. I'm like Raven right now. I can see it. I don't know what it looks like today, but she's going to have some fun things there, and she's going to be showing you how to play. And if you're doing that with your kids, just seeing it. And if you're in North Carolina right now, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. If you're in North Carolina, check out her website. She has classes. She has courses. Mm-hmm. The class that you had last night, the webinar, how do people get into a webinar with you?
So the webinar, you can go to the link on my social media, either Facebook or Instagram, and it's the first link where it shows you join our mom chat. So last night was our first Zoom. I'm trying to get feedback to see if we're going to do it weekly or monthly, but it was so much fun. It's valuable. So I'm just trying to see, because I'm a mom of 3, how it fits into our schedule on but we'll probably continue to do it because the people that joined are people from Georgia that misses our classes. So they were excited to hear how to kind of implement the class at home, so to speak, and do those activities at home.
Yeah. And if Nyetta if she's a mom of 3 and she can host a class, a webinar for you parents out there. There's no excuse, honey. Get it on. And sometimes you think that you need to be sitting in front of your computer when a webinar is going on. Sometimes you can just have it on while you're cooking, and then just figure out how to have your notepad to just like jot down some notes, parents. Like, get in. That's what I'm saying. I know. Nyetta, correct me. Nyetta's like, no, they need to be here.
No,
Can we listen like this?
Because we do it late. So we do it about 9 because, you know, you want the kids to be down for bed and I don't want to take too much of your time. So it's at 9 p.m. It's only 30 minutes. You can have your camera on or off. You can have your mic on or off. And what we're going through, I actually create a PDF for you all to download. So you don't necessarily have to take notes. I'm just going through to show you, to give you additional tips and give you instructions on how to do the activities. But the activity grid and outline is there. So it has Monday, independent play, business is blank for you to fill in what you need. Then it has quality time with the activity there, and it's blank for dinner time. So you can plan your business and dinner time using this activity guide. And then the next 2 pages are the supply list on what you need Monday through Friday, and it's 10 items or less each day.
Nyetta, if you're not making money, girl, we get off this call, I'm gonna let you go back to your family for a minute. Well, we have a call tomorrow.
They're knocking at the door in a minute.
Girl, this is some good stuff right here. So I hope all the parents that are watching have enjoyed this. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you, girl. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was so much fun. I knew this was going to be good. Yeah. I knew this. You were talking in those accountabilities, and I'm like, I need to interview her. But this has been like a real range of a conversation. And what I'm realizing out of my 2 last conversations, what I'm realizing is it's identifying like that root. And then it's like developing that root. Mm-hmm. And then it's all throughout your childhood and then into your adult life. There are so many things that impact, and it obviously starts with the root.
Yep, right? Setting the foundation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Good stuff, girl. Any parting words for our audience?
Remember that playing is learning. Playing is always learning. Don't what is the word? Don't downplay play. Playing is learning.
Hold on. I gotta put this one in ink. I don't know why that's so funny to me. I couldn't even scrap.
Your inner child.
Yeah. I told you, I have no behavior. I like to play. But hold on. I have behavior, because what did you just say? Don't downplay play. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm just going to end it. Like, sometimes there's a negative connotation with a child that plays too much. Yep. And we need to like get rid of that. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many benefits. And even me just saying, oh, I don't have no behavior. No, because that's what was kind of spoken when you're being free spirited, when you're playing, even when you play as an adult, right? It's like, well, why can't I be creative? Why can't I be me? Why can't I express my inner child? We're always just beating it down.
Yep. 24/7 on. Turn off sometime and play.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't downplay play.
The new slogan.
It is. Listen, I was going to say to you, you don't put that shit on a shirt. You go to my website and you'd be like, this girl is selling don't downplay play. And then it says Nyetta. -Nyetta. I'm writing it down. I told you ink, honey. Let's do that. Don't downplay play. I'm not even joking with you.
I'm going to write it down too.
Yeah. She's like, did she say a shirt? Oh, there's a revenue income. Let's stream of it.
That's all I heard. Money.
These guests, all their quotes are going to be selling shirts. But yeah, no, this is good. Don't doubt. I have to make sure I get it. Playing too damn much. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Please follow Nyetta. All of her contact details will be in the details. Can't even remember what it's called with all this laughter.
I know, it's fun.
Yes, exactly. All this fun. But Nyetta, thank you so much for being on Voices and Vibes. You have been a vibe, girl.
Thank you, Voices and Vibes, for having me.
Yes. We amplify voices, and it's always a vibe. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next show. And if you're not subscribed as yet to Voices and Vibes or the Play Activity, the Activity Playhouse on YouTube, please go over to those channels, hit the subscribe button, and keep enjoying time with us. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.